And we're continuing to monitor the White House press briefing room there. Any moment now, we're expecting Sean Spicer to come forward and make these conflicting accounts of the firing of FBI Director. There's a series of tirades that took place on Twitter by President Trump. He's going to come out and hopefully try and talk through all of this. We're standing by for that any moment now. And joining me now from Washington is CBS News contributor and former host of Face the Nation, Bob Schieffer. Bob, thank you for joining us. You came to Washington, D.C. in 1969 when the Nixon administration was around. What do you make of all this?
Well, I've got to say, it's been a long time. That's about 48 years ago. And I've covered a lot of presidents and a lot of presidencies and spent a lot of days here watching some very unusual events. But this may be one of the most unusual days I've ever spent watching things unfold here in Washington. The White House, at this point, looking at it from the outside, appears to be in total chaos and has been so since Tuesday, when the news broke late in the afternoon that the president was firing FBI Director James Comey. The White House put out a list of basic talking points that he had gotten these recommendations from the Attorney General and from the Deputy Attorney General, and decided to do as they had recommended and give Mr. Comey his walking papers. Then yesterday, of course, we saw the president have this interview with Lester Holt of NBC, where he said, no, I had decided a long time ago to fire Secretary Comey, and FBI Director Comey. And then this morning, the most bizarre group of emails or Twitters that we've ever seen from the president, where he said, I hope Comey, I hope that conversation I had with him wasn't taped. Well, the conversation apparently took place in the White House, which has opened up a whole new can of worms. Is there another taping system like Richard Nixon had in the White House in those days? So now we're waiting to hear the press secretary, Sean Spicer, who oddly enough has been on military reserve duty and hasn't been around for the last couple of days. We're told he's going to be back today, and we're waiting to hear what he has to say. Maybe he can give some semblance of normalcy to what this is all about. But there are about 9 different stories coming out of the White House now. Nobody over there seems to be on the same page, Rena.
Yeah, no, that is certainly the sense. There was a Washington Post story today where Newt Gingrich was out saying you can't have the quarterback of the team if the rest of the team is not in the huddle. It's a problem for the communications team, obviously, when you're trying to get a message and it doesn't quite work out the way you want it to, and then the president contradicts that. But I want to ask you about something. It was an interview that just happened a short time ago with Andrea Mitchell of MSNBC with the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, and he said that he believed Comey was uneasy about taking a meeting with President Trump. He came to dinner back in January. He said he was worried about the appearance of the FBI being independent in this investigation. You're seeing Clapper come out and defend Comey. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the FBI director was certainly right to be uneasy about this. I mean, here you have a situation where the director of the FBI is investigating apparently very serious charges. We don't know if there's anything to this or not, but we know he's looking into whether the Trump team colluded with the Russians in some effort to meddle into into our election. These are very, very serious charges. The president has already fired General Flynn, who he had appointed to be his national security advisor. We do know that General Flynn talked to the Russian ambassador, among others, and then was not straightforward and truthful about that when he briefed the vice president on it. We don't know really what's going on here. We do know for a fact that he did talk to the Russian ambassador. What we don't know is what he said to the Russian ambassador. But it would be my understanding that the FBI does know. And we also hear that the FBI director was asking to expand this investigation. He was asking for more funds. I'm told that the administration now denies that, but I have confidence in our reporting and our sourcing on that. there's just 1,000 questions to be answered here right now of the most serious nature.
Yeah, you know, we talk about how grave this is. Bob didn't, unlike you, live through the Nixon time period. I was reading back over that period and I was fascinated. The man that we know as Deep Throat, Mark Felt, who was at the time under Nixon, the acting deputy director of the FBI, was at one point brought in by Nixon and asked for his loyalty, to be loyal. They only met once, and it was one time. And 30 years after that, we would discover he was the source for Woodward and Bernstein. The fact that this is something the FBI has dealt with in the past, maybe not these same folks, but it is something that they've had to do. How do they maintain and show at this moment their independence when the head of their institution is picked by the President of the United States?
Well, the FBI, people who are in the FBI, number one, is very careful who they hire. These are patriotic Americans who take their oath that they take when they come into the organization. They take all that very seriously, and they've been around for a long, long time. And of course, they're going to wonder what's going on when it comes out that the head of the FBI is having a meeting with the president. And we heard the president say in his interview that he asked the FBI director, "Am I under investigation?" And he said he assured him at the dinner and 2 other times that he was not. I mean, that, I don't think we're there yet, but that could border very closely on obstruction of justice, which is a federal.
Bob, I apologize. I'm going to have to interrupt you. We're going to head now to the White House for a special report.
Okay.